See, after my hiatus, after my abandonment from YouTube, and after no longer uploading, I kind of got an upload schedule like Corey Kenshin, and it was really just not my best moment. I don't understand why I did it. It doesn't really matter why I did it. What matters now is that I'm back. See, over time, after I made the Yuta versus Kashimo video, everyone kept asking me, Shinra, are you gonna switch up? Shinra, look at Yuta's feats on Sukuna. You have to switch up now. No, I don't. Yuta's still a bum. Yuta's still a fraud, and nothing's changed. So if you like the video, please remember to like and subscribe, and let's get into the video. So to start off with, we need to analyze Kashimo's actual philosophy. See, for us to determine whether or not Kashimo is stronger, we need to look at the narrative first before we actually go in and try to analyze and just hard focus on the feats. So first of all, we know that every single character dubbed with the title of the strongest, especially Gojo and Kashimo, have this specific philosophy. The philosophy they have is because they've been granted ultimate strength and the solitude that comes with it, they try to deny the solitude that is inherent to their title as the strongest, and also try to connect with other people and seek gratitude from other people. But in reality, that isn't how they should have won, and that is the reason why they lost to Gojo and Sukuna. The reason being is simply because they refused to accept their solitude. That's the relevant distinction between the two of them. However, in every single other character's case, they do not share this philosophy. Now, we know that philosophy has something very, very strongly leaning to do with your strength, specifically because whenever Sukuna is speaking to Jogo in and of himself, he says verbatim that the reason why he was unable to grow and the reason why he was unable to reach the heights of Gojo was specifically because he didn't have Gojo's philosophy. So that would be implicative of the fact that if Kashimo has the same philosophy as him, then Kashimo likely has similar strength to Gojo, as well as the fact that if Kashimo has this strength level, we know multiple times within the series that a change in mentality is obviously indicative of a change to strength. So one of the most famous examples is when Gojo just starts tweaking out against Toji, and he's like, oh my god, I'm at peace with the world now. And he says, and I quote, throughout heaven and earth, I alone am the honored one. So clearly, whenever he has an intense change in his mentality and he goes from being the strongest when working with Geto to be the strongest on his own. So that change in mentality was what made all of the difference whenever he was fighting Toji. And in the same situation, whenever Toji changes his mentality from his original state when he was in the Zenin clan being oppressed every day, to after getting a wife and after getting fear hacks by Gojo, he realizes that because his mentality is changed, he's lost sight of his true self and is already lost. So clearly your mentality can either instantly put you at a multiple tiers above strength level, or it can reduce you down to such an extent where you get one shot by purple, as in Toji's case. So what would this mean here? What do this mean? That's what all of the Yuta fans are trying to ask right now. Well, quite simply, all this would mean is specifically that Kashimo and Gojo should be around the same strength tier. Now, even though I do think that Kashimo should still be weaker than Sukuna and should still be weaker than Gojo, it doesn't really matter because they're still all around the same strength tier. I think the real differentiating factor between the two of them would be hacks. And in the case of Kashimo losing out to Sukuna, I think the specific reason would be, one, just because of the fact that like Sukuna has a very, very strong advantage over him in the sense that he has multiple hands, and two, not only that, Kashimo just seems to be fair hacks the entire time he's fighting him. He's like, oh, he's so beautiful, and he's just complimenting him throughout the entire fight. He's not really focused, he's not really locking in, but that's a coward's way out, as Kashimo would say himself. We aren't really going to argue for a mental enough because really there isn't as strong as a case of it. That's what I'm about to say. True from Sukuna at the start of their fight against Kashimo is just the statistically strongest Sukuna that we ever see within the series. Now, he's stronger than Megana at full power. However, the way Gojo does Megana that we see on screen is just to such an extent I'm not even convinced that the MP gets from getting forearms would mean anything. But even then, that Sukuna is still the statistically strongest Sukuna. So Kashimo not being able to perform well against that Sukuna doesn't really mean anything. And we just need to add on the fact that if Kashimo, even if we grant Kashimo and Yuta are just completely relative, they're dead even, then what would Yuta even do when hit with a lightning strike? So Yes, everyone can also just agree Kashimo and Sukuna are relative. Kashimo and Sukuna are somewhat relative, especially when we see on screen that Kashimo is able to react to him. So trying to say that he doesn't react to him or saying that he's massively weaker would just be being very, very dishonest. Then the allegations that we really need to address is quote unquote Yuta does better against Kashimo than against Yuta. Or he does better against Sukuna, I should say, than against Yuta. I don't know why I'm slipped up there. It's probably because this Yuta hatred is getting to my head. But the distinction in terms of performance is just very, very apparent that the distinction doesn't actually mean anything. And we specifically know this because when he's fighting Maki, Maki's supposed to be the GOAT. He's supposed to be the physically strongest out of all of the people in J-High, which is excluding Kashimo, of course. But the whole thing with Maki is she's supposed to represent the pinnacle of physicality without cursed energy. Then we see Sukuna goes from being relative to her, being on par, they're kind of swapping hands, then instantly Sukuna is able to blitz her and grab her by the face. So clearly, it's like Sukuna isn't actually trying as hard depending the situation. So not only that, they also say that every single time Kashimo, Yuta, all of them represent individual peaks of Jujutsu sorcery. So you could say Yuta represents the peak of versatility since he's able to copy all of these curse techniques. But what does Kashimo represent? Well, we need to look at how Kashimo fights. So the way Kashimo fights mainly is by fighting with his physical stats. So if he fights with his physical stats all of the time and he only uses his lightning as a byproduct of his physical stats, then more than likely the thing they're saying Kashimo represents the pinnacle of is cursed energy reinforcement. Right? So if he's the pinnacle of cursed energy reinforcement, and it's not like Kashimo is weak in comparison to Yuta in terms of raw physicals. Yuta just stated to be weak physically. So again, it's probably just Kashimo has better and stronger cursed energy reinforcement, cursed energy output than every other person there. So if he has better reinforcement, then everyone knows that would mean that he's statistically the strongest and the fastest out of every single other person that's been there. So not only does the author just very, very simply imply to us that Kashimo is just above all of the other people, but also there's a very, very strong narrative case to be made as well towards the argument. Yuta throughout the entire fight is 3v1ing Sukuna with Rika, while this Sukuna also has to divide his attention between holding his hands together for the Hollow Wicker basket seal. And even when he does release it, we see that he's still able to tank Yuta's maximum output Angel's Ladder, which is supposed to quote-unquote one-shot evil people. It doesn't really make any sense. We know that Angel was able to almost kill Sukuna, so why wasn't Yuta? It doesn't really make sense. I think it's just because Yuta is really weak, he's not able to use the curse techniques as well as he regularly, as well as Angel would. But it seems very, very clear to me that Sukuna is just immensely weakened whenever he's going up against Yuta. And even before they go into the domain, it could also just easily be dismissed as Yuta is just not getting tried on against. Like, Sukuna isn't really trying against them, specifically because he's just able to keep up with Yuta within his domain. So it doesn't really make sense if Yuta's stronger in his domain than outside of it. So, again, it makes very, very clear narrative sense. Kusakabe does better against Sukuna than Yuta does, and Kusakabe does it on his own, whereas against Sukuna, or in the domain I should say, whenever he's going against Yuta, we see quite very clearly that he just can't hang on his own. Yuta just can't really hang. He needs Yuji on his side, weakening Sukuna's stats. He also needs Rika holding his hands up so that he's actually able to land solid hits him. But again, nothing's really changed. I'm telling you, I'm never wrong when it comes to my takes. If you like the video, please remember to like and subscribe. And this has been Shinra, and I'm out.